Hey everyone, and welcome back. Ready to dive into something electrifying today?
Always.
Haha. Well, you came to the right place. Today, we're going beyond electric cars and exploring the whole universe of specialized batteries.
Yeah, it's pretty fascinating stuff. I mean, think about it. Batteries are everywhere, right?
Yeah.
But we don't always think about the ones working behind the scenes in all sorts of
Right.
crazy applications.
Exactly. And our guide for this deep dive is a German article titled Beyond the Mainstream Battery Olympus.
Ooh, battery Olympus sounds epic.
Right. And believe me, the stuff we're going to talk about today is pretty epic.
I'm excited.
So the article starts by laying out those mainstream batteries. We always hear about the ones powering all those electric vehicles on the roads. But
Okay.
before we go off-roading into the specialized world, we need to set that baseline. So what actually defines a typical electric car battery these days?
Well, you got to remember that a mainstream battery is all about balancing cost with decent performance for, your average driver. So you've got your energy density, which is basically how much juice it holds for its weight. And a typical cell packs about 250 watt hours per kilogram.
Okay, so 250 watt hours per kilogram. That's our energy density.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that directly relates to range, right? The further you want to drive on a single charge, the more energy you need to pack in.
Exactly. Range is a big factor. Nobody wants a battery that weighs a ton and only gets you a few miles down the road, right?
Uh-huh, right. So energy density, check. What else?
Okay, then there's the C rate. This one's all about speed. It's basically how fast you can charge or discharge the battery.
Okay, so like how quickly you can fill up the battery.
Yeah, think of it like pumping gas. A 2C rate, which is pretty typical for EVs right now, it means it takes about half an hour to charge or discharge, kind of like a leisurely fill-up.
Gotcha. So faster C rate, faster fit stop.
Exactly. And the next generation of EV batteries is aiming for 3C, so even quicker.
Cool. So we've got the energy density for range and the C rate for speed. What about lifespan? How many times can you charge and discharge before the battery starts to, give up the ghost?
Right, right. That's the cycle life. And mainstream batteries are typically designed for around 1,000 cycles before they start to degrade significantly.
1,000 cycles, huh?
Yeah.
That's actually pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's not bad. And then, of course, you have to consider the operating temperature. These cells are usually happy up to about 50 degrees Celsius.
So those are our bread and butter specs for mainstream EV battery, cost-effective, decent range, moderate charging speed, and a lifespan that should last a good few years for the average driver.
Yep, that's the baseline. But like our article points out, that jack-of-all-trades approach just won't cut it for more specialized applications.
Right, and that's where things start to get really interesting.
Absolutely. And that's where a company like CustomCells comes in, doing some pretty incredible stuff with tailoring batteries for super specific, sometimes really wild demands.
Bespoke batteries, I love it. So where do we see this kind of customization making the biggest impact?
Well, the article jumps right into electric aviation, which is a field with, you can imagine, some pretty high stakes when it comes to batteries.
No kidding. When you're talking about powering a plane, you better be sure those batteries are up to the task.
Absolutely. I mean, imagine the pressure of ensuring a battery can safely power a plane hundreds of kilometers through the air. Price probably isn't the top concern when it comes to safety at 30,000 feet.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I think safety might trump cost in that scenario. So what are some of the must-haves for batteries in electric aviation?
Well, first and foremost, energy density is king. You need that range to get those planes where they need to go. And we're talking serious distances here, like 200 to 350 kilometers for those eVTOLs.
eVTOL.
Yeah, those electric vertical takeoff and landing aircraft. They're becoming pretty popular.
All right, like those futuristic air taxis we keep hearing about.
Exactly. But then for the ETOLs, the ones with conventional takeoffs, they need even more range, like 500 kilometers.
Wow, that's a lot of juice. And I imagine takeoff and landing, especially with all that vertical stuff, requires a ton of power too.
You'd think so, right?
Hmm.
But actually, the discharge rate they need is only about 4 times higher than your typical EV battery.
Really? I was expecting something way more extreme.
Me too. It's still a big jump, of course, but it's surprisingly manageable.
That's impressive. So how do they pull that off? What's the secret sauce to getting that much power without the discharge rate going through the roof?
Well, CustomCells is doing some really cool stuff with cell design and using some advanced materials. For example, they're using silicon-based cells and adding lithium during production to boost their performance. It's pretty cutting-edge stuff.
So it's not just about the materials themselves, but also how you use them. That's fascinating.
It is. And of course, you can't forget about all the safety regulations in aviation. Those are super strict. We're talking about the European Union Aviation Safety Agency, the ES, and of course, the FAA in the US. Meeting all those requirements is no joke.
Oh, I bet. That sounds incredibly complex.
It is. But the good news is that CustomCells takes that burden on themselves. They actually get their clients' batteries certified for flight.
Wow, that's going above and beyond.
It is. They really handle the whole process so their clients can focus on, building their planes.
Okay, so we've got batteries taking to the skies. What other high-performance applications are we looking at?
Well, the article dives into motorsport next, which is like a testing ground for crazy battery tech that often, trickles down to consumer vehicles later on.
Oh, motorsport, where pushing the limits is the name of the game.
Exactly. And when it comes to batteries, you got to think about those insane acceleration and braking forces those cars experience.
Oh, yeah, I bet those batteries are getting a serious workout.
They are. We're talking about super high discharge rates when they hit the gas, and then equally high charge rates for regenerative braking when they slow down. It's a constant push and pull on those batteries.
Wow, so what kind of numbers are we talking about here? How much higher are the discharge rates compared to those mainstream EV batteries?
Oh, we're talking way higher. CustomCells has developed solutions that can handle continuous charge and discharge rates 20 times higher than your average EV battery.
20 times? That's insane.
It is, but wait, it gets even crazier. They can handle bursts for several seconds at a rate that's 70 times higher.
70 times. Okay, that's officially mind-blowing. But I have to imagine there's got to be a trade-off somewhere, right? You can't just magically get that much power without sacrificing something.
You're absolutely right. These motorsport batteries, they're trading some range for that insane power. The article mentions that they have about 60% of the energy density of a mainstream cell.
Makes sense. It's all about priorities, right?
Absolutely. And in motorsport, those bursts of power are key, even if it means a slightly shorter range.
For sure. But what about the lifespan? Do those batteries burn out super quickly with all that stress?
That's a good question, but even in the crazy world of motorsport, those batteries need to last a while. Regulations often set minimum lifespans so they can't just be disposable after one race. That would get super expensive.
Right, so it's a balancing act between power, lifespan, and of course keeping costs somewhat reasonable.
Exactly. It's a great example of how these specialized battery companies aren't just about pushing the limits of what's possible, but also about finding solutions that actually work in the real world, where budgets and regulations matter.
Absolutely. So we've gone from the skies to the racetrack. Where does this battery odyssey take us next?
Well, now let's get really small. Think about those tiny batteries powering implantable medical devices. It's a completely different world with completely different challenges.
Whoa, that's a huge shift in scale.
Yeah.
What are the make or break factors when you're talking about a battery that's literally inside someone's body?
Well, obviously, safety is paramount. Right?
Oh yeah, no explosions allowed in there.
Uh-huh. Exactly. But it's not just about preventing explosions. These batteries need to operate safely at body temperature, which, believe it or not, can be tough for a battery.
I never thought about that.
Yeah, it's a challenge. And then you have some implantable devices that need to withstand deep discharge way more than a typical battery. And then you've got other medical devices that need the opposite they need to handle super high temperatures for sterilization, like over 120 degrees Celsius.
Whoa, that's a huge range.
Right.
From body temperature to over 120 degrees Celsius.
Oh.
So how does CustomCells manage all those wildly different demands?
Well, it turns out they have a lot of experience with other high-temperature applications, like powering those telemetry sensors in drill heads that operate at a scorching 150 degrees Celsius.
Seriously?
Yeah, and that expertise translates surprisingly well to the medical world.
That's so cool, applying knowledge from one field to another, like cross-pollination of ideas.
It is. It shows that innovation isn't always about inventing something totally new. Sometimes it's about seeing connections and adapting existing knowledge to new challenges.
All right, so we've covered the skies, the racetrack, and even the human body. What other frontiers are these specialized batteries conquering?
Well, the article then lumps together underwater and mining applications because they share some pretty big priorities like durability and safety. I mean, in the underwater world, safety is absolutely crucial. You can't have a battery malfunctioning and like releasing harmful gases or, God forbid, catching fire down in the depths.
Yikes, that's a terrifying thought. So what kind of safeguards does CustomCells build into those underwater batteries?
Well, they've got this specialized cell with a ton of safety features, including multiple layers of protection and a super strong enclosure. It's designed to prevent any leaks or fires, even if there's a short circuit or it's exposed to extreme pressure.
Okay, that's reassuring. But I'm guessing all that safety comes at a cost, right? Does it affect the battery's performance?
Yeah, there's a trade-off. The article mentions that to achieve that level of safety, plus the high discharge rates they need, we're talking about 10C for about 2 minutes, the energy density takes a bit of a hit. It ends up being about 40% what you'd see in a mainstream cell.
So less range, but way more safety.
Exactly. And in those underwater applications, safety is definitely the top priority.
Absolutely. And what about those mining applications? What makes them so tough on batteries?
Well, mining is all about durability. Those batteries need to withstand over 10,000 charge and discharge cycles. That's way more than their mainstream counterparts. They're built to take a beating and provide reliable power for years and years.
Wow, 10,000 cycles. That's incredible. It really drives home the point that there's no one-size-fits-all solution when it comes to batteries.
Right. I mean, this deep dive is already proving that those mainstream EV batteries are just like the tip of the iceberg. There's this whole world of specialized batteries pushing the boundaries of what's possible, each one tailored to the specific demands of its application.
Yeah. I'm already starting to see how the innovations happening in these specialized fields could influence other industries and even change how we think about batteries in general. It's pretty exciting.
It is. And that brings up a really interesting question, doesn't it? Like, what other unexpected fields might benefit from these specialized batteries in the future? The possibilities are kind of mind-blowing.
Right. I mean, are we talking about powering everything from tiny medical implants to like massive infrastructure projects? Who knows what the future holds?
Exactly. And that's the beauty of it. This field is constantly evolving, constantly pushing the limits of what we thought was possible, and it's only going to get more exciting from here.
Well said. All right, everyone. I hope you're as energized as I am after this first part of our deep dive into the world beyond mainstream batteries. We've just scratched the surface, but we've already seen some incredible applications from electric aviation to implantable medical devices, and it's clear that the innovation happening in these specialized fields is just the beginning of something much bigger.
Absolutely. And you know what? In part two, we're going to go even deeper, exploring the technical wizardry that makes these specialized batteries possible.
Ooh, yes.
Yeah.
We're going to unpack how those crazy 70x discharge bursts in motorsport actually work and look at the challenges of creating a battery that can safely reside inside the human body. It's going to be fascinating.
Buckle up.
So stay tuned, everyone. We'll be back soon to continue our journey into the amazing world of specialized batteries.
Welcome back to our deep dive into specialized batteries.
You know, after those examples in part one, I'm still kind of blown away by just how many different things batteries can do.
It really does challenge how we think about batteries, doesn't it?
Yeah, for sure. But, you know, while the applications are super cool, I'm also really curious about, like, the nuts and bolts of how these specialized batteries actually work.
Yeah, I get that. Understanding the how is just as important as the...
Totally. So let's get under the hood, so to speak, and explore what makes these batteries tick. What are some of the key things that set these specialized batteries apart from those mainstream EV batteries we talked about earlier?
Well, one of the biggest differences is in the materials themselves. Like, remember how we talked about energy density being so crucial for electric aviation?
Yeah.
But to pack more power into the same space, specialized battery makers are turning to some pretty advanced stuff, like silicon anodes.
Silicon anodes.
Yeah, these things can store way more lithium ions than the graphite anodes that are typically used in, your standard EV batteries.
So it's all about, like, squeezing more energy into every little bit of space.
Exactly. But there's a catch with silicon anodes.
Oh.
They have this tendency to, like, swell up and shrink back down during charging and discharging.
Oh, I see.
And that can cause them to, degrade faster and shorten our lifespan. So that's where clever cell design and manufacturing processes come in.
So it's not just about the ingredients, but also the recipe, right? Like how you put those materials together.
Exactly. Specialized battery makers are using techniques like nanostructuring and coatings to try and tackle those expansion issues with silicon and keep those anodes stable. It's a delicate balancing act, maximizing energy storage while also making sure the battery actually lasts a reasonable amount of time.
It sounds like walking a tightrope, trying to push the limits of performance without having the whole thing come crashing down.
Haha. That's a great analogy. And it's kind of like those high-performance race cars we talked about earlier, where every gram and every watt counts. Those specialized battery engineers are constantly tweaking their designs to squeeze out every bit of performance for, whatever specific needs the application has.
So it's all about customization, really tailoring the battery chemistry and structure to the task at hand.
Absolutely. And this whole customization thing, it goes beyond just the materials and the cell design. We're also talking about the battery management system, how the battery handles heat, even the packaging itself.
Okay, so it's like a holistic approach.
Yeah.
They're thinking about every aspect of the battery's operation.
Exactly. For example, in those underwater applications where safety is so critical, you'll often find specialized batteries with redundant safety features, multiple layers of protection, and super robust enclosures, all to prevent any chance of leakage or fire, even under, extreme pressure.
Wow, that's reassuring. But I'm guessing all that extra engineering and customization probably comes with a price tag, right?
Yeah, you're right. Specialized batteries do tend to be more expensive than those mass-produced EV batteries. It's mostly due to the higher cost of materials, the R&D involved, and the smaller production runs.
Makes sense. So it's kind of a chicken and egg situation.
Yeah.
The demand for these specialized applications is driving innovation in battery technology, but then those innovations are hopefully going to make those applications more affordable and accessible down the line.
Exactly. It's a constantly evolving landscape. Advancements in one area often lead to breakthroughs in others. And as we keep pushing the limits of what batteries can do, who knows what new applications we'll uncover? It's pretty exciting.
It is exciting, but it also makes me think about, the environmental impact. With all these specialized materials and complex manufacturing processes, are we creating a sustainability nightmare?
That's a really important question,
Mm.
and it's something the industry is definitely grappling with. The good news is that a lot of the advancements in specialized battery tech are actually aligned with sustainability goals. For example, there's a lot of buzz around solid-state batteries.
Solid state.
Yeah, they use solid electrolytes instead of liquid ones, which potentially means higher energy density, improved safety, and longer lifespan, all while using fewer, nasty materials.
So it's not just about performance, but also about making sure these batteries are as eco-friendly as possible.
Right. And there's a growing focus on responsible sourcing of materials, figuring out how to recycle and reuse battery components, and making the whole manufacturing process greener.
That's great to hear. It
Yeah.
sounds like the industry is really taking sustainability seriously.
They are. But it makes you wonder, with all this emphasis on specialized batteries, are we kind of neglecting those mainstream EV batteries?
Mhm.
Will they get left behind?
Right. Yeah.
But actually, it's kind of the opposite. A lot of the innovations happening in the specialized battery world end up trickling down to the mainstream EV market. What we learn from developing those high-performance batteries for, like, motorsport or aviation can actually be used to make EV batteries more robust, more efficient, and more affordable.
So it's like a win-win. Advancements in one area end up benefiting the other, and the whole field moves forward.
Exactly. This cross-pollination of ideas and technologies is really driving the entire battery field forward. And that's super important as we transition to a future that's going to be increasingly reliant on, clean and sustainable energy.
Yeah, absolutely. This has been such a cool look at the technical side of these amazing batteries. It's incredible to see how much ingenuity and precision goes into designing them for such diverse demands.
It really shows the power of human creativity, doesn't it? Our constant drive to push the limits of what's possible.
I totally agree. But before we get too lost in the technical stuff, let's not forget about, the human element.
Mhm.
What are some of the challenges and opportunities that the people working in this field are facing, especially since it's changing so rapidly?
That's a great point. And that's something we're going to dive into in part 3 of our deep dive.
Ooh, can't wait. Stay tuned, everyone. We'll be back soon to explore the human side of this battery revolution and discover what it takes to be at the forefront of this exciting field. Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We've explored those mind-blowing applications and gotten into the technical nitty-gritty of specialized batteries. But now, I think it's time to shift gears a bit and, focus on the people behind all these innovations.
Yeah, the masterminds pushing the boundaries of battery technology, shaping the future of so many different industries. It's pretty amazing.
It is, because let's be real, behind every groundbreaking invention, there's a team of brilliant minds, right? Working tirelessly to make it happen.
Totally. And in the world of specialized batteries, it's really cool to see this convergence of talent from all these different disciplines. It's not just your typical chemists and engineers anymore.
Oh, really? So who else is joining the party?
I mean, you've got material scientists, software developers, data analysts, even experts in regulatory compliance. They're all coming together to bring these cutting-edge batteries to life.
Wow, it's like a whole brain trust. It sounds like a pretty dynamic field to work in.
It really is. And that's what makes it so exciting. You need people who can not only dive deep into their own area of expertise, but also be able to communicate and collaborate effectively with people from totally different backgrounds.
Yeah, I bet bridging those knowledge gaps is super important when you're
Hmm.
trying to create something truly innovative.
It's essential.
It sounds like the perfect job for anyone who loves to learn and collaborate and isn't afraid to, step outside their comfort zone.
Absolutely. But like any field that's really pushing the limits of what's possible, there are definitely challenges that come with it.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Like what?
Well, there's this constant need to stay ahead of the curve. New technologies and applications are popping up all the time. So you got to be a lifelong learner, adaptable, and, ready to embrace change.
Definitely not a job for someone who's afraid of change.
Haha, right. But for the right kind of person, it's incredibly rewarding. And it's not just the intellectual stimulation that drives people in this field. There's also a growing awareness of the positive impact these innovations can have on the world.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Whether it's developing cleaner energy solutions, advancing medical technology, or enabling exploration of the deep sea or even outer space, there's a real sense of purpose that motivates a lot of people.
That's amazing. So it's not just about building cool gadgets, it's about making a real difference.
Exactly. And that combination of intellectual curiosity, that passion for solving problems, and the desire to contribute to something bigger is attracting some of the brightest minds out there.
That's awesome. So it sounds like this field is attracting a lot of young talent.
Oh, yeah, definitely. We're seeing tons of young people pursuing careers in battery technology, drawn to the excitement and the potential of this rapidly growing industry.
That's great to hear. But with all this fresh talent coming in, I'm curious, what are some of the skills and expertise that are most in demand?
Well, unsurprisingly, having a strong foundation in STEM is crucial.
Yeah.
Yeah, science, technology, engineering, and math.
Right, of course.
But beyond that, there's a growing need for people with more specialized knowledge, like battery chemistry, material science, and manufacturing processes are all really hot areas.
Okay.
And batteries are becoming more and more integrated with software and data analytics, so those skills are super valuable too.
So it's like a blend of those traditional engineering disciplines and those cutting-edge digital skills,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. And that's actually a big part of what makes it so appealing. You're not just stuck in one narrow specialty. Instead, you get to work across disciplines, constantly learn new things, and contribute to different parts of the whole innovation process.
Wow, what an incredible look at the human side of the battery revolution. It's clear that it takes a special kind of person to thrive in this field. It sounds demanding, but also really rewarding.
You got it. Someone who's curious, adaptable, and has that drive to push the boundaries of what's possible.
And it's those very qualities that are driving those incredible innovations we've been exploring throughout our whole deep dive today.
Couldn't agree more. So, to all those aspiring innovators out there, if you're looking for a career that's intellectually stimulating and has the potential to really make a difference in the world, this is it. Look no further than specialized batteries. It's an exciting field with tons of opportunity to be a part of something truly transformative.
I love that. And on that note, folks, we've reached the end of our journey into the world beyond mainstream batteries. We've explored some amazing applications, delved into the technical magic, and even met some of the passionate people who are driving this revolution forward.
It's been a wild ride.
It has. And it's just a reminder that even in this age of incredible technology, it's the human spirit of innovation and collaboration that's really pushing us into the future.
Well said.
So to all our listeners out there, keep your minds curious, those batteries charged, and remember, the future is electric. Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive.